that current incident with your existing data means data-backed research.
Right. I mean, there is no case where you have two concurrent data streams, like acquisition that's running Splunk, company running. That's not a use case.
No, that's then you will be bankrupted with both the costs. Okay. Already we are getting lots of complaints that okay. We need to control the Sentinel cost, or we need to bring our security operations under the budget. So that's where everything falls under data zero copy analysis.
And then the hot with index versus hot in general. It's called hot because it's recent. Current. Is that why it's called hot? Or?
Yes. For Microsoft Sentinel, if you are a Microsoft Sentinel customer, you get the first 90 days of data retention for free. It's a hot data where all your Microsoft Sentinel features operate on top of the data. Yeah.
And then the other one.
Sentinel Data Lake is a hot tier. It's also a hot tier, but it's not index. You cannot run the analytics on top of the data. Yes. You have the other options, that is Spark clusters. Using the Spark cluster, you can perform the advanced security insights using interactive Python Jupyter notebooks.
Every product has a CXP of its own. Like identity has, different has, purview has, Sentinel.
Because of the cost, and the second reason is we are making the AI ready security platform.
Is the hot index, right? Yes.
No, with the hot index, we also have a product called Microsoft Sentinel. With the evolving threat landscape, we extended our Microsoft Sentinel SIEM to Sentinel data because
maybe
most
little
of our
louder.
conditions does not satisfy the first 90 days of data retention for free.
Okay, let's do a photo time.
If you take GPRC or any financial services, okay, you have to leave the data up to 7 years. And if you
need to do more. So this is a picture to represent that in spite of the journey and in spite of the tough environment you're on, there stands a mountain strong and tall, which is probably what we are all missing out, which is Mount Fiji out there. Right? So think of that as a way of how we have to look beyond, we have to look and really stay far ahead and focused. Okay, this is not a students program. I know we are all really want to progress, but so let's move on. There are a few things I really want to cover today. I want to cover something about the day in the life of a SOC analyst. A SOC analyst is, again, I'm not putting there an abbreviation to confuse you all. A SOC is for a Security Operations Center, right? And behind the Security Operations Center, which every organization has to run their security operations, some of them even outsource it to partner organizations to run companies. Let's say, for example, a company like Costco. They're in the business of retailing and wholesaling. Do they want to have a 500 people security operation running center running for them especially? They might offload it to somebody else, right? They might offload it to an Accenture or an iLink or anybody like that, right? They would offload it to a company which manages that. End of the day, what I'm trying to tell is SOC operations center. SOC is there. The persona that runs behind the SOC is a SOC analyst, a SOC engineer. There are different types of personas who are there. And then I want to talk a little bit about what is the marketplace that we built, which is basically the security marketplace. So we'll talk about that. In fact, the rest point 2 and 3 is all about more of showing you from how it's done there than actually running it through PowerPoints. Right? Essentially, when we talk of data, there are tons of data. There's products, there's logs, there's data that keeps coming in. And there are trillions of signals that needs to be looked at, both from inside the organization that we create, or let's say you're creating a log every time you enter into a particular app, you're creating a log. That needs to be looked at as a signal, whether it's a threat, whether it's genuine, whether you need to bring it up. So I'm just giving you a purview of, again, there are tons of, there's so much of data that's there. Sridhar went to a very particular aspect of that. You take these logs and triage it and find easy ways to bring it into a system. Once it gets into a system, the whole circle of this is the different kinds of products. But that products only do a certain kind of solution. After that, there's a whole number of trials that happens where the journey continues in anything. Now, we read through this whole part of it, different parts of the sessions today. When Krishna started, after the big part of it, he said that there's tons of area that needs to be covered then, but he ended up with something saying the Sentinel platform, right? So today my whole objective is to talk about Sentinel platform, but only for one particular box on the top right box that you see out there, which talks about the ecosystem. That's the focus of today's discussion, about the ecosystem, which also means diversity and inclusion from a customer's lens. Microsoft will not solve every part or journey of the customer security posture. It needs to be added with the partner solutions, with agents, with other kinds of solutions, which completes the customer's needs of where they are and where they need to go, right? And that's where we talk about security store, which really looks at building all of that whole infrastructure. So that brings me to the next point. How does really the life of a SOC analyst look like, right? And that's where was actually the topic of today's discussion. The SOC analyst, if you see that in a day when there are tons of signals to be looked at, you have solutions out there, our own product is there, but then you have the blue-eyed agent that starts off in the beginning of the day. What it really does is, this particular agent will look at the health of particular logs. And if I am a SOC analyst, if I'm going to be sitting out there and I'm going to look at my day and just going and filtering those logs into every table, into every point, it's going to take my day. That's not what I've been employed for. I'd rather use an agent, like how Bluemont created an agent, rather to go there, pick up the needle out of the haystack, and then say that, yeah, these are the right triages you need to go and you need to build on. Then later in the day, there's something else. Defender picks up another instance and looks at saying that, hey, I want to correlate another alert that's out there. Can an agent do that? So there's an inbuilt Microsoft app, Microsoft agent now. So I first talked about a third-party agent, now I'm talking about Microsoft agent. So they can look at this agent, you invoke this agent, and then go and continue and accelerate your journey further, right? So further on, you look at then, hey, you know what, I have had these many, but Microsoft with Entra, you do a fantastic job, but I want to specifically pick on certain kind of login investigations that I need to do. Adequate built an agent for that, right? Now these are all, what I'm trying to tell you is have a dialogue of what kind of different agents that really helps you to personify the day in the life of a SOC analyst, right? There are tons of tools out there, you can use your own tools. There are also third-party tools out there in the form of agents that you can go and leverage on. I'm not going to go into each one of them, but then think of it as ability for you to go and leverage what's there. For example, agents does not necessarily need to be an all IT, all CISO's team's work. There's also need to be, let's say, for example, business users, for example. And that's where the people tech groups come in, for example. This is a HR offboarding app agent. When people leave organizations, sometimes they leave their passwords or they take their passwords with them. We don't know what kind of gaps we need to close. So agents like these really help you to offboard certain employees out of the organization where you close all these gaps. And these are the aspects that have checklists, have the ability to look at which are all the sessions they had permissions for, different groups, different departments, and that's how this agent really helps you to go and complete. So this gives you kind of an idea of, hey, what agent you can do in a particular day, what else do you invoke, right? Now, it brings up then to classify, to say that, hey, you have these agents, but Microsoft, you say that, hey, go and leverage these agents. So I break it down into three parts, right? There are three classifications or three pillars where these agents really go and sit. The first one is agents which are basically agents that are there in the store. Anyone here remembers what Nandaraj said when in the ILink session in the keynote time?
Time machine. Time machine.
Time machine. Any other name? Those time machine. I'm not checking on you. There's the second one. They have one, but I'm referring to the time machine particular one. That was just launched into the marketplace yesterday. So at around 3 or 4 p.m. I was monitoring and I saw iLink's agent right up there. That's the latest agent, and that's the first pillar of agents where partners build agents and they bring it up to the Microsoft Store. The second one is SaaS solutions. So let's say Delania or a Lumino or different kinds of already organizations that have their own security services, and these security products need to coexist with a Microsoft security product. We call them as a SaaS agent, and these are the second category of sorry, did I do something? These are the second category of listings that you see on the marketplace, right? I keep saying marketplace, I'm not showing you anything about the marketplace yet, right? And the third one is when you have partners who build services to bring an integration of everything else, and that's the third one which we call as services or security services that you get on the marketplace. So there are 3 categories. I'll spend time today in the first one, which is the most interesting one, my lens, not your lens, is about the security store. For that, I need to exit from here and get on. Let's see. All right. So what you see here is a Microsoft Security Store. So in this place, this is where you will be able to really go ahead and start interacting and looking out for it. So for that, I will just look at the first query which I had. I'll start interacting. I'll do my first set of interactions, and I'll go ahead and say I've actually made a few notes to make it easier for us today. I'll say what agents align with insider risk. Pardon me for spelling mistakes. No? Okay. So let's see if I start querying it. It's a very easy query. This is something that we recently launched here at RSA, having the ability to query. Now, if you see all of this, I already got a few results out here. Now, these results are now telling me that, hey, there are a few agents that are there, Microsoft agents and our partner agents that are dealing with risk. Now, you can go ahead and make it more interactive, start putting more queries. There's a little nice chat over here. And that's the way you can go ahead and start leveraging. But that's the first way that you start seeing that your first interaction with the security store, where you would go and start seeing and looking for agents. Okay. Now let's go back to the store. Now, let's get something wrong. So when you come out here to the store, there are a few things that straight away take place. Whenever somebody is building an agent and has listed their agent here, they're always looking at what kind of agents are built and what kind of services are there. Remember my slide which I showed you, the 3 pillars or the 3 categories of agents. You had an agents, you had SaaS, and then you had the services. You get all of them over here. Then, if you look at bringing down the agents and then further drill down to the agents, it's always aligned to some product of Microsoft. So you can even further look at what is the dropdown, whether it's a Defender-related agent, whether it is an Entra-related agent, Purview or Sentinel, for example. And a little later, I will really show you what the tagging really means, because that has real significance in the way products of a partner's agent is related to a particular Microsoft product, and that's really how it helps to accelerate the journey. The other one is certifications, right? You have an ISO, GDPR, FedRAMP, things like that. Very important from, let's say, there's regulatory concerns or geography in places where in certain geography or unions where you'll have to be specific and you'll write specific agents related to that particular geography. So you will go ahead and look at that. The third is when you start building agents, then you also need to think of how you're going to sell these agents, how you're going to monetize these agents, how you're really going to really have this. So you can have a free agent, you can have it by trial, you can have it by, you can look at it by purchase. For example, an agent by Bluewine that says that, hey, use my agent for a year, and that costs you some X dollars, right? The other will say that use an agent for the first 1 month of trial. If it really meets your requirement, then go ahead and buy it and then bring it into your environment. So things like that. The other one is also to look at the next one I went with publishers versus partners, right? So there are Microsoft first-party agents, like within Entra or Defender, you would see those agents, which is Microsoft built agents to help accelerate and complete your journey. The other one is what Microsoft does not do, and our partners, what you saw in the ecosystem out there, that's where our partners are. And then you can also look at different ratings again. Again, ratings are very key here. This is only ratings where customers have actually implemented it, have taken it, brought it to their environment and implemented it. That's where it skews them away from having, probably an agent to write all the 5-star ratings. That happens, right? You can, sometimes you will see it on Amazon. Okay, so all fine here. All fine here. Agents, I showed you what the outlay like. Then there is a particular agent, let's say, that you really liked, and I'll choose an AdaQuest agent, which is the first one that's appearing for me, and I'll go ahead and look at it, what this agent does. First thing when I get this agent, the first top things I will look at is, hey, what's the kind of levers it's really drawing, or what's the kind of output it's producing, right? So the top you get there, hey, it looks at Microsoft Security Copilot. In today's version, I must tell you the one thing, that the prerequisite that's needed is that agents are built on Microsoft Security Copilot. And if you're running this agent, you need to be running on the customer's Security Copilot instance, right? So these are kind of the two prerequisites that are needed for participation. The other thing I'm also noting here is it has a lot of Defender skills and the Entra skills, so that's important. And I'm showing you this all from my live environment. It is my environment. I'm not even showing it from my demo environment. So all that you're seeing here is actually and then you can read, you can get a ton of information of where this is, and I told you what are the related required services that are there. And then what are the pricing plans, what are the reviews and stuff like that. So it looks like a pretty popular agent out here. I can go ahead and get this agent and then look at bringing it to my environment, right? Like it meets my requirement, if it's still free, if it's helping me to go ahead and I will look at it. Remember there was a
question, when you said related environment, does it means it will work with those environment, or it has the similar functionality of those environment?
Say your question again.
When you say related environment, right?
Yeah.
Does it means it has the functionality of those environment which Microsoft is providing, or it has the options to work with only with those environment?
It's the latter. It's a working for that environment, because the prompts and the skill and the logic was built for a Sentinel, for example. The reason is, let's say if I'm right now showing you the AdaQuest one. It's looking at some kind of a Sentinel feature. For example, it might be saying that, we can read the text and everything out. It might be saying that, hey, I want to see where the logs are sitting in Sentinel data lake. So it's looking at a feature in data lake, because the agent is going to point over there, run a reasoning around that, build a logic, run a reasoning. There's a process. It does some kind of resolution and then brings it forward. The second thing, in this particular agent, you saw two things. It's a Sentinel, it's an Entra. That means it's also probably looking at some kind of a permission from Entra to give it or gate it, or to say that, hey, user access. Or it could be, let's say, it's looking at a conditional access policy that's saying that, hey, gate it based on certain kind of a remediation, right? So it's looking at a feature, and that's why I'm saying it's a latter. Right? And that's why it's important how you look at it. Remember, there's also something here that there could be a pricing, and hence, point to the right, Azure subscription, the resource group, all these things, look out for it. And then, because it says right now it is 0, and then it's going to be payable later, that's why it's going to be looking for this pricing. You click next, and then it will follow the process of deploy, and then deploy, it will help you review, and then go through configuration. I'm not doing all of that right now. we're left with 7 minutes in this session, so I want to show you something much more, lots more that I needed to cover, so we'll do that here. Okay. With that, let me go back here, and then I came back to this place, and I wanted to tell you about, since I said things, this was about having, there was a tagging there, which is Defender and Entra. I want to spend a minute with you of here. I was sitting in the, I explored all of this from the store. I explored all of this in terms of getting an agent from the Microsoft store, right? Which is called the security store. Now let me flip a little bit different, right? I'm going to flip, and I'm going probably, I'll go to Defender, right? So now I am in the Microsoft Defender experience, right? Where Sentinel sits, Defender sits, Purview sits, all these different service blades, they sit in this environment out here. So one has a consolidated view of how all these different experiences come together. In here, when I'm in Defender, I need to see which are the agents that Microsoft has and our third party have, right? Which are going to help me leverage my Defender experience. So for that, you will start seeing here something called Security Copilot. And with that, I can build agents and I can see the security store. So all the agents that were tagged as Defender now will start appearing over here. And then you will see this all now coming over here. So I got these agents here. Remember the first agent I picked up was AdaQuest Admin Guard. Now you see it's appearing here. What I'm telling you now is from a user experience perspective, right? Yes, you can see agents. You can go to the store, be very specific what agent you want. But when you're working as a SOC analyst, think I'm the SOC analyst now, and I'm in Defender trying to resolve. Now I have an agent that really helps me to go ahead and leave it. So I can go ahead and take this from here and build it on and take it from there. Similarly, I can also look at different experiences, like for example, I can look at Entra. And in Entra, I also scroll down here and I would also see the security store. So these are all the agents now you would see here, which is specific to Entra-related parts of it. Again, it could be first party, it could be third party. Again, specific agents that really help you to drive that whole kind of a journey, right? Now, all these are great from the lens that you have, which really helps you to showcase that, hey, what's the kind of posture you wanted to really build, right? So, again, I'm going to refresh back, saying that you saw this from Defender. Now, if you want to still go ahead and build, let's say, an agent, right? Now you said, hey, guy, I'm done with all these Microsoft agents, all these partner agents. I think now I'm very capable of building my own security agent, right? You have the ability to think and say that enough, I need to build. Or the other aspect is, why not just build, but also build and put it into the security store? Because like how Tangarajan did it over there, kudos to you again. How Tangarajan did it over there was over the last month and over the last 2 months, they have been looking at conceiving an idea and then building that agent, and that agent is what now appeared in the security store. Now think if this was Tangarajan's team, and then again. Start off with this. This is going to be a simple way of putting here. Now, when I put a particular line of ask here, I want to be very, very specific now. I want to be specific in making that ask of saying that, hey, this is going to be a very precise, scope-based and intent-based idea of what I need my agent to look up, right? So to do that, I have written down my query somewhere. Yeah, somewhere. I'm going to bring it up here just to make my life easier, otherwise I'm going to take a few minutes to type. Okay, so I'm going to put that query here. And this is, I'm saying here, create an agent that summarizes top 3 high security incidents from Defender. So I'm being very specific, go to Defender. In the last 24 hours, so I'm also giving it a time frame to do it, with recommendations to resolve. Again, this is my English, my script. You can be more creative, you can be specific, you can write your own prompt out there, right? Now you're saying something like that. I'm actually doing this live. I'm on my Security Copilot instance, and I am going to pray that everything happens well, and it starts looking at how it's going to think of building an agent, right? So I'm asking our security copilot to actually start writing an agent. How much time do I have? Perfect. Okay. So it looked at, hey, it gave me a name of the agent. He started building. So I want to now go ahead and look how this agent got constructed, right? So I built an agent. It's looking at all these different. It's summarizing the top 3 things. There's something called an instructions. If you're into agent building, I would say spend time here in the instructions part, because this is a critical part of you thinking of an agent, of the way you want to construct your agent and how you want it to read the instructions. It does a good job in putting it there, but spend more time in this because this is a critical area. Then you look at different inputs. Inputs is important, like when you want to run your query, or you want, what kind of tools are you looking at? Now, tools are important in terms of bringing this whole thing forward. So all of these are there, and then I'll come back to this, which is in the tools. And then you look at your details, which we just saw. You saw the instructions, inputs. Of all of this, what doesn't come out here, and I still want to speak to our engineers, is all this is fine, but automation comes off as a different screen. We'll speak to them later. But basically, automation means triggers, right? How fast do you want to run it? Is it a one-time run? Is it a multiple-time run? Do you want to have some kind of sequence? What kind of permissions do you want to do, right? And then when you're looking at permissions, where does permissions really go? Whether it's going to a tenant or it's going to a workspace, all those you need to define. I'm keeping it very simple and light, but then this is where you should be running and seeing all of that here. But with all that done, you can also start looking at the code, right? This is what we call as a manifest or a YAML. Important from a context that at some point you will have to pull this out and then load it out into a manifest where you will start bringing it to the store, because it's going to follow the process. So start thinking of it here in terms of you got the code. If you are into a code review, go ahead and write the code. You can view the code and stuff like that. So all of that is good. So far so good. You think you're satisfied with this? If not, yes.
So I would like to bring one important point here. When Harish gave the prompt, he didn't even mention which data source that agent has to go and bring the top 3 incidents from the data source. The agent itself know which data source it can go and bring the top 3 incidents. So I just.
I think it's a very wonderful point, yes. Because at the bottom there the table said XDR.
Yes.
So I think it's a very good point. Yeah. So it was already making a point saying that you need to go and pick it up from your Defender XDR table, and that was how it's pointing. It's a very good point.
And then it shows you the sources automatically. It also shows the source.
Shows you the source. Yes, that's right. That's right. Absolutely. With that, you can go and test it. You can look at your test. You can think of where your inputs are. I will say here none for now. And then you can make it. And then you can run your test, right? So hopefully everything happens well. It will definitely tell me right now that I don't have enough permissions because I'm running it on my environment. I'm not running it on what in Microsoft, what we call it a Java environment. I'm not doing that. I'm running it on my own. I'm running it on a Microsoft environment. So you will not see, I won't have permissions out here. Anyway, with that, as it's picking up, then you can think of as you said, that I do have areas that you won't be able to do it. I can even then look at different ways of publishing it. Today I can look at publishing for everyone. I can also publish it to myself. The reason I publish it to myself is because I want to do my own private previews. I want to probably test it out, ensure that everything's working correctly, and then I can go ahead and publish it. And then, yes, because I did such a simple agent, it'll work. But if you're looking at more complex ways of running different categories, different products, different different processes that there's a lot more that you can go into. The whole objective today is to really show you to how you can build an agent, where you can start from, what you can leverage, and then what you can take and then go ahead and think of an agent in a process like that. So with that, I'm coming back to this area here. What you saw is an agent. I was also trying to point out that today was also a nice day when we saw one of our agents light up in the Microsoft Security Store. This I saw 3 p.m. yesterday. This was the last agent that I saw lit up. So thanks to iLink, they had their agent published. I was happy with that. Okay, we went through that part. We talked through the whole security store. I covered these points of. I told you I was going to speak about the day in the life of a SOC analyst. I told you I was going to run about the journey on the security store. I gave you different aspects of how to approach the security store. We went into a demo of actually going ahead and creating an agent. That's what we did, and then we also looked at publishing an agent. So all that happened pretty fast. So power is in your hands, looking at how you can go ahead and build agents and all of that. I went through the demo, and finally, any questions? Yes?
So if I have a team of 5 analysts, all using Defender,
Yes.
when I install a marketplace agent, I want to summarize, let's say, something about the alert from Defender. Do all of my 5 analysts have to separately install it from marketplace, or do I install it for everybody in my team and Defender shows the summary for it?
You install it for your organization. What you do is you need
Whose token does it use? Mine? The one?
your organization, so because it runs on Security Copilot on your organization's instance, right? Security again, it is how you provision Security Copilot, right? It runs on a Security Copilot instance. You run it once. There are things that we call as service principles. Basically, it gives you a permission to go and run it on that. But basically, you own the ability to give it to your 5 people. It's not 5 instances. It is one instance with the ability of them running it on your environment because you're calling it on your tenant. Remember, you're invoking this whole thing on your tenant, on one tenant, on the customer's tenant.
And then as a SOC analyst, I don't have purchase privileges. So if it's a paid agent in the marketplace, then what's the experience? How do I?
Yeah, typically look at who has, so 2 things you need. You need to look at who has the Azure subscription, who has the Security Copilot subscription. Because if you know these 2 owners within your organization who are managing these subscriptions, they have to look at it. And then typically there's always somebody in an organization who looks at purchases and gives permissions to buy, because there's a budget obviously. Then you're asking for a permission to go and leverage this.
Does Security Copilot take into account RBAC automatically? So if a user is asking some questions and they don't have access to certain data sources, does that take into account?
It looks into RBAC, or it follows the RBAC of Entra. And then of all the Entra permissions, Sentinel's permissions, Security Copilot permissions. Yeah. It's a great question. We worked on it kind of post after building the product. So.
We may not have time for more questions, but you can always reach out to Harish for more questions and the conversation ahead. Thank you so much, Harish, today for your time. It looks like you gave us a magic wand to look at the incidents differently now. We'll definitely go back and evaluate how we do things today.
Yeah, I'm just keeping Krishna happy because he said that from doom to gloom, we are supposed to be doing that.
I think the day was full of, we learned about Sentinel Data Platform, demos, security agents, Copilot and whatnot. So it has been fruitful. Thank you.
No, thank you guys.
So with this, we'll move on to our next session. Designing the oh no moments, UX that hardens AI. Let's look at the UX part of it. This session is presented by Ruth Kinkin-Gill. She's with us today. Ruth is responsible AI strategist, principal designer at Microsoft, a leader in responsible AI and human-centered system design. She is also an author, a founder, and a visionary. this introduction,
I need someone to let me.
yes, while you get ready, we can take any more question if you have for Harish.
Okay. Any questions?
While, any question, last question?
All right. Did anybody search who wrote the Great Wall of Kanagawa? Great Wave of Kanagawa?
Hokusai.
Yes, yes.
Exactly. You want to say it louder?
Hokusai.
Hokusai.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So that's a painting I've always been inspired of, so I thought I'd not share.
I think I am going to steal that for my presentation next.
I did too.
It depicts a lot, the calmness and the chaos together.
I need to share this.
Perfect, here we are. Little soft, I don't know, people are back. Can you hear her?
Yes? Okay,
Yes.
let's start then.